part of managing our stress and getting well is honoring what our body is telling us about what's happening in the moment. So this is part of the exercise, actually, of moving towards wellness, is to say, oh, my body's not really liking this right now, or it wants more of this or more of that, and to try to listen to that and move towards that direction with your body's guidance. Hi, I'm Michael Westgate. Thank you for joining me. I've helped people with chronic pain for over 2 decades. I aim to help you say goodbye to pain and hello to a fully lived life. Let me show you guys an image while I talk about this first. This chart is available through my website. One of the things I want to talk about right now is, what is your dominant response to threat? Because typically there are three actually dominant responses. Fight, flight, so that's sympathetic action. Freeze, which is a mix of sympathetic action and this shutdown energy. It's called dorsal vagal energy, or the shutdown itself. Now, how would you know that? Well, if you respond to threat by getting busy and never stopping and never sitting down and constantly moving, that's usually means that you're in either fight, flight most of the time. That's my favorite mode when I'm nervous about things. If you suffer from chronic pain, you're most likely in freeze most of the time. And if you struggle with depression and anxiety, actually depression mostly, low energy, difficulties in being social, and all kinds of avoidance behaviors, and often you're in shutdown. Given what I've just did, that's kind of a brief summary, what would you think would be your dominant response to threat? One of the things I want to let everyone know is that often it's time of day related. So some people, I'll just tell you my pattern. During the day, it's fight, flight. When I come home in the evening, I'm not saying it's this way all the time now, but it used to be, I would freeze, and I would avoid sleep. I would be frozen, like in front of the screen and watching something distracting. And then during the night, I had trouble sleeping, so I'd go back to fight, flight at night. Nice cycle. I think it's a really important thing to know what your patterns are, partly because you want to try to tailor your practices appropriately to what your challenge is. Now, I don't believe in exact formulas for this, because I've discovered myself that doesn't seem to work for in my experience. It's not really how it works. However, generally speaking, there can be certain practices that are better for certain conditions than others. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Is I'm going to talk about practices that generally tend to, and these are somatic experience practices from Peter Levine and Maggie Phillips, that deal with shutdown. And I would say shutdown and freeze. If you're someone that tends to be stuck there, or if you find yourself there, these could be helpful. And I mean could be, because it really depends on the individual, as I've discovered in my personal practices and my clients, that you just don't know till you try. And you also, what you have to do when you try a practice is you have to listen to your body's response. And I've had this experience many times where there'll be something that typically helps me. Like, I tend to wake up in the middle of the night, and I've kind of turned to doing yoga nidra practice. There's a woman, Ali Botrin, I think, I don't know if I said her last name right, on YouTube, and I think she's absolutely fantastic. But there are some nights where my body's like, I don't want this. Just really emphatically, this isn't what I need. So I search for other potentials. I have other practices in my pocket, as I like to say. So I will try other things until I find something that it says, thumbs up to. And just as a review, so if you have a dominance of shutdown energy, or it's called dorsal vagal, that's the circuit in the nervous system, here are the things that will typically happen. So dissociation, which means disconnected from yourself, it's spacing out is part of that. Also feeling numb and detached from yourself, your body, and everything else around you. Kind of low energy. It's a low energy state. So what it came from is when we were fish and lizards a long, long time ago, we didn't have as many metabolic demands for oxygen because our brains weren't very big and our bodies could survive with very low oxygen. So this state of protection wasn't very threatening to our nervous system because we could kind of hibernate, so to speak. Now, for humans, it's a problem because we have a lot of demands from our big brain that it needs a lot of oxygen. So when we go into shutdown, it can be very distressing for the body, and it's actually where trauma is formed. So if you go deep enough into shutdown, that's where the trauma response gets stuck. Whether or not you also have stuckness in fight-flight or whatever, it starts by diving really deep into shutdown. And the way that happens is when your nervous system interprets your situation as life-threatening with no agency. You can't fight it off. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it because so fight is fighting, flight is running away, and freeze is hiding and being still and being harmless. And if that doesn't work, then you play dead. And playing dead is low energy, low output. The other things you tend to find is you have a slow heart rate, sluggish heart rate. It's hard to breathe deep. Your digestion will either go into constipation or diarrhea. So if you go deep enough into shutdown, everything's going to evacuate out of the body. And that can actually happen when someone gets stressed out enough in their regular life, is you can actually get diarrhea because your body is going into shutdown. And so it's ready to just get rid of all energy expenditures that it can. It also will affect your brain. It'd be hard to think straight, be kind of foggy. It's hard to make decisions. The other part of shutdown that's very distinctive has to do with social interaction. So people that are in shutdown do not like being social. It's very taxing and it's very stressful. They tend to not want to engage with others, generally speaking. The other thing you can look for is when you're in shutdown, your face will sag and your body will sag. And also your posture will sag. But literally, if you see someone in shutdown, their face will start drooping because the energy has been taken out of the muscles. Everything's gone. They also have a hard time understanding human speech. So if someone is in shutdown a lot, they'll say, huh, a lot. What? Because they can't track the human speech very easily. They also tend not to have much interest in music, and they have a hard time feeling pleasure of any kind. So those are things to look out for as a signal that you may be, or someone else you know, in shutdown. So the exercises I want to do are to address this, it's called collapse as well, and to show you how to gain resources to help yourself come out of that place. And then after that, because this is actually a sequence that is quite common in the nervous system, after you come out of, you actually thaw from the freeze, as I like to say, then you come in contact with the more assertive energy of fight-flight. And what tends to happen for people in collapse is they come up into that place of fight-flight, and it's so overwhelming they go back to collapse again because they don't know how to be in what is called healthy aggression. And this is something that in the modern world tends to be misrepresented because it's almost like all aggression is wrong, which is completely off base because there is such thing as healthy aggression. And what it allows you to do is set boundaries, hold boundaries, and push against the world in ways that are appropriate to either get something you need or want, or to get rid of something that you don't want in your environment, or even to build something. Because, if you're building something, it takes action energy to do that. So the first thing I want to do is go through this exercise about finding strength in the midst of feelings of collapse. So this is about gathering resources to allow you to counteract the collapse energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by standing. Just start by feeling your feet on the ground and how your body weight makes your feet spread out. Right? And then from there, be aware of how the force in your body is distributed throughout your joints and your muscles all the way up your body. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting more weight on your left leg. So we're doing a pendulation exercise here. And then very gradually shift that weight to your right leg. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be sexy dramatic. We're going to go just find your own rhythm back and forth between those sides. And maybe even so subtle that someone would be hard for someone to notice if they were in the room with you. You're just going to shift back and forth and kind of feel that shift. It's your own rhythm. It's not my rhythm, it's yours. Okay, back and forth between the different, sides of your body. Okay, and let's just do that a few more rounds. Left to the right, left, right. We're just going to kind of let that shift back and forth and kind of feel that swaying motion. Okay. So now, what I want you to do is to focus on your feet, calves, and legs, especially, maybe even your hips, and see if you can identify a sense of strength in your legs. Somewhere, is it just in your calves? Is it your quads? Maybe it's your whole legs, both legs on both sides. But see if you can identify a sense of strength. Okay, now that you see, see if you could. Now with that, let's push against the ground with that strength. Like, let's see if you can kind of feel yourself. You can even take turns with the legs. Let's push against the ground with the right leg. And with some, with some firmness. Now let's push against the ground with the left leg. And see if you can feel that solidness, the support, the strength. And your legs are actually the strongest muscles in your body, so they have the most power. Okay. So now that and I'm hoping, see if you can find that strength. Now, if you feel it somewhere else, that's okay too. You might feel strength in your core area, your chest, and even your arms, and that's good too. But let's see if we can find it in the legs. Okay. So now, keeping that in your consciousness, now I want you to focus on how it feels when you're collapsed, when you are overwhelmed, and maybe that's even true now. And you're going to say, okay, what happens to my body when I connect with that feeling of being weighted down, being defeated, and even let your body respond to that by maybe even kind of starting to collapse forward and sag, right? And what are the feelings in the body? What are the thoughts? What are the sensations? You might even have images in your mind of what happened or what usually happens, or just the sense of it. Okay, so now you're feeling that saggy, kind of low energy. I don't have no energy to do anything. Oh my God, it's hopeless. And now what I want you to do is find the legs again, or whatever part of your body's strong, and use that energy to lift yourself up, almost like a string is pulling from your spine, through your spine, all the way up to the ceiling. And I want you to bring yourself upright in an expanded posture. Whatever feels comfortable, strong and kind of strong and tall, right? And feel that power that lifts you up out of that sort of well of low energy. And then when you're ready, let yourself re-engage with that feeling of being low energy, with being defeated, with that difficult feeling of, oh, I don't have any energy. I don't know what to do. I'm trapped. Oh my God. And let it let it take you down. Before it takes you too far, let's find that power in your legs again, or your body. Let's push against that, and let's bring yourself back up into a solid, tall, extended posture. And feel the power in your body. Feel that energy or strength, right? Okay. And then let's let it go down the other way again. So you can let and feel that memory. Okay, what is that memory or that sense in yourself of defeat, of powerlessness? Let yourself feel it, knowing that you have strength to come out of it. So you're gonna be with it. But then before you go too far, let's find your legs again. Let's find your strength, and let's come up and out of that again. Okay? Feel that power, the strength in yourself, coming from yourself. And then let's kind of go to neutral now. And then go ahead and sit. And let's reflect on that and see what you guys felt. And we have one more to do. The idea here is we want to identify resources within us that are accessible right in our pocket, as I like to say. You don't have to scramble to something else. You can do it in line at the bank. I mean, if you feel yourself falling into something's grabbing you and a thought or an interaction with someone, find your legs, right? Bring yourself back up. When you do a practice that contradicts what dominant state you're in, it will be hard to do. So if you're in a low energy state, you're trying to get out of that, it's going to be kind of like trying to climb out of quicksand, basically. And if you're in fight-flight and you're trying to get yourself to calm down, it'll be really hard because your nervous system's like, I can't slow down because I'll die. That's what it's saying. And I have to run to survive. And so, you might not be able to sit and meditate with your eyes closed, right? You might have to do a movement practice that calms you instead as an interim or just as a temporary one before you can get to the other one. So if you're feeling resistance, that doesn't mean something's wrong. Unless your body truly is rebelling, then you might want to just stop and try something a little less challenging. But just keep that in mind, is that resistance will come up when you're contradicting the state that your body thinks it needs to be in at the time. Okay, so here's our next one is what we're going to do now is to try to tap into the primal energies that are associated with being appropriately self-advocating for space, territory, boundaries, all that stuff. So what I want you to do, so we're going to start sitting and we're going to move to standing. So I want you to close your eyes and imagine a strong, powerful animal that you respect. Doesn't matter which one it is, but it would most likely be one that is really powerful and dominant in its environment. So some examples could be a bear, a lion, a leopard, a tiger, elephant could be an elephant too. They're very powerful, or whatever else what appeals to you. And I want you to imagine that your body transforms into that animal. You are actually that animal. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like to be that animal. And let's say that you're maybe taking care of your cubs, or you have some young ones nearby. And you feel your paws probably or feet on the ground. That's just what we just did. Remember, we were doing that thing where the feet were going back and forth. You're feeling the strength in your limbs. And you're aware of your environment. You're very aware of your environment, very tuned in, very alert, because you have to find food and you have to defend your young ones as well as yourself, the safety of yourself. You have a lot of strength and you feel that strength. You're aware of it. You know you are strong. Okay, so what would it feel like to walk around with that strength, with that confidence, and with that alertness, that awareness? Okay, now what I want you to do now that you maybe have a certain sense of that is to stand up. Okay, so now try to feel that animal in your body. You're that animal. You are. Just say that you're a tiger or a lion. So you're a lion. Okay, or a lioness, and you're kind of walking around your territory. You're strong. Remember, you're strong. You have all this power in you, and you're confident. You're walking. So you can even move your legs if you like, and you're walking around your territory, smelling the air, looking around for signs of food or danger. And then you notice out of the corner of your eye, another powerful animal in your territory. So feel in your body what your body does in reaction to that. So you have this, there's a threat, a potential threat. What does your body do? Are you feeling it preparing? So it's tensing up to some degree. It's more alert now. There's that enemy, potential enemy. So now what you're doing is you're going to face that enemy straight on, and your body's ready. It's tuned and ready. And if for any reason you actually feel a collapse come on, find your legs again, find your limbs, find that strength, and stand your ground. And now that threat's coming closer. So now what you're going to do is you're going to actually go towards to meet it. You're not going to back off. You're going to go face it. So you're going towards that threat, that potential other, strong animal, very carefully, very consciously facing it and going towards it step by step. Feel your strength, feel the power, and feel that intense energy that's holding that barrier that says you're not coming any closer or you're going to regret it. That's the attitude you have, and maybe you're going to growl or rah, to let them know that you mean business. Now you're facing them off. Maybe they're 10 feet away, and you're looking straight at them. Your body is ready to go, and then not for a second are you doubting your ability to defend your territory. To face off, holding your ground, and you're giving off this message, this clear message through your body and your voice and the way that you are acting that you will regret if you come any closer. So feel that in your body, feel that in your whole being. You're not going to come, if you come any closer, you're going to regret it. And you could maybe even feel your hands. Maybe they're going to be in a fist now because you're ready, right? Bring it on, buddy. That's the sense. And maybe you're going to make a fist, both fists. You're going to feel that power. And maybe you want to put the fist out a bit so they're kind of keeping them, the threat at bay. And then bring it back towards you because now you're ready to spring if you need to. And then you notice that the threat is backing down. So you keep your position, you keep that energy level, and you keep your eyes on that threat. And then as it goes away, finally, when it's far enough away not to be a threat, let your fists go, let them open up, and feel your whole body relax. and settle. You can kind of breathe. Go ahead and sit. And feel yourself kind of breathe and settle. And even as you sit down, you can imagine that you're laying down on the grass and smelling the air. Still alert, but you're more settled now. And then you know that the kids are safe, you're safe, at least for the moment, and that you feel that confidence that comes from knowing that you can handle threats and set boundaries when you need to. It's worth noting where we can do it and where we can't. I mean, one of the ways that I've heard it presented psychologically is that a really good person fully integrates their monster, as it's called. And the way they do that is they show other people that they're capable of great force and violence, but they're in total control of it. And so basically what you're saying to someone is, I am capable of being a monster, but I don't have to be unless you cross that line. But the difference is when, and this is something I've struggled with, when you have dysregulation, you have no control, and it actually looks like weakness because you lose your cool, right? And that shows people that you're actually weak, even though you might be threatening in your actions. But the person that, this is it's a really great scene. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show Reacher. In the first episode in the first season, it's this most incredible scene about this action. He comes out of a diner. No, he's going into a diner. And there's this man verbally abusing his wife or girlfriend. And Reacher's, he's this big guy, ex-military. And he just looks at the guy with that look like, that you're doing something wrong and you're going to stop right now. And the guy looks at him and goes, "What are you looking at?" And Reacher just keeps looking at him. And he says, and then eventually he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again." And Reacher didn't say one word. But what he did was that he basically told the guy, "If you keep this up, I'm going to come over there and I'm going to kick your ass because what you know and I know what you're doing is wrong." And that was a really great scene for what we just talked about. I really liked that. I watched it a couple of times. I'm like, God, it's a great example of this.
Because I couldn't imagine myself as the lion or anything. So I just thought that one of the bravest person I know, which is my mom. And then when you started saying that, okay, imagine there's a threat, my awareness started heightened, and then for some weird reason, my hand went into a power pose, and then even my head went into like the death stare.
Yeah, like this, right? Right, yeah.
Like no words needed, just look at your phone and then you stop whatever it is that you're doing. And it's like, after that, during that, interesting the amount of like energy you feel building up, especially on this area, but everything else is like alert, ready to go. And then after that, you said like when you settle, my body let out a weird like shake, kind of like the energy.
Did it? No, that's great.
Yeah, kind of like someone like went into one place and then like left afterwards. And then when you said, okay, the cubs are safe, then okay, I'm safe too. So that's like a really nice journey to go through with all the emotion and the strength that I didn't know I had to meet. That's really good.
That's fantastic, Jelly. So I'm going to explain what happened physiologically. The shaking is a sign that you're shifting states, and it also shows that your body is dispersing the intense energy that you were holding. It was actually letting it go in a healthy way. It was like, like, because you ever see, like when dogs, if they're real excited, they'll go, well, that's what they're doing is they're letting go of that energy. But also when we come out of activation, we want to do what you just did. That's the healthy way. And that means that there won't be any residual left in your body later to bother you and to harass you. When we're overwhelmed and we don't go through that process you went through is when that experience lives within us, looking for resolution and constantly harassing you to resolve it by having symptoms of various kinds, whether depression, anxiety, body pain, obsessive thoughts, whatever. I mean, I'm really glad that you were able to experience that and share that. Yeah, that was perfect. I didn't pay her. Shit, that was honest. If you found this content helpful, please like and subscribe. You can look forward to more videos about how to overcome chronic illness and chronic pain.